So today we're going to talk about sitting poses and all of the details that come with it. I'm going to run you through everything that I do to pose somebody in front of my camera so that they look absolutely fabulous. Okay, so here are the challenges of sitting poses. So especially if your chair is really, really comfortable and cushiony, you're going to sink right down into your chair as soon as you sit. And we don't want that because what we're trying to avoid in all poses is a blob. We don't want to be the blob. We want to have shape. We want to have dimension. We want to have definition. And this is challenging because chairs tend to turn us into blobs. They tend to sink us in and shut us down and hunch us over. And then the camera on top of that, the camera really removes all sense of shape and dimension, which is why you want to, if you're behind the camera, if you're a photographer, that's why you want to learn how to light your subject really effectively. That's how you put shape and dimension back into your image. But the other thing you use to put that shape and dimension back is your posing, right? So I'm going to talk you through how to go from the blob in a chair to shape and dimension that's really beautiful and magnetic and something that your eye wants to engage with. Right? That's how I put it. How do we make a shape that your eye wants to engage with? And this is for everybody, by the way. These are the tips that I use for myself, for every person in front of my camera. I love these tips because these can also be used in a majority of poses to begin with, but we're going to talk about the things that make this specific for sitting. So the first thing that I do when there's a client in front of my camera and I'm going to have them sit is I have them sit, but I moved them to the front of their chair. Again, this is because I don't want you sinking down in the chair, and the further back you get on that cushion, the more you're going to sink down. It's going to pop your knees up as you sink down, and it kind of hunches you over. That kind of action hunches you over a little bit. So I want you to be easily able to sit up straight. So the first thing I'm going to do is scoot you to the front of that chair. And once you do that, you're going to, instead of pointing your knees straight toward the camera, you're going to angle them 45 degrees away from the camera. And this is where we start to bring in that shape and dimension, right? So when you are sitting in that chair, even if you're sitting forward and scooted forward a little bit, if you're pointing your knees at the camera is collapsing all of your planes of existence into one, and that's where that blob starts to happen. So we got to bring some dimension back. So we're going to point our knees 45 degrees away, and that adds a little bit of an angle to our lines. It starts adding lines in, right? It breaks up the blob effect, and it starts to add angles back in, right? You start to see the triangles from your knees when you point them 45 degrees, right? So first thing, move to the front of your chair. Second thing, angle those knees 45 degrees. If you are going to do feet on the ground in the sitting pose, I want you to cross your legs. If you don't want to cross your legs, all good. I do then move your feet forward just a little bit. I really like the dynamic way that a crossed leg looks because it starts to introduce a triangle to your shape, which I like. But that's okay. It might not be your jam. So we're going to bring that triangle in another way, and we're just going to move your feet forward just a little bit. Instead of tucking them back underneath the chair, we're going to move them forward. And then this part is key, and this is true for all poses, but it gets extra hard when you're sitting. But oh man, straighten your back. If you think your back is straight, it is not. Straighten it more. And then you know what? Straighten your back again. This part is hard because we don't recognize when we get hunched over. So you're going to have to rely on your photographer for this. But this is something I go through with every client. And I say, I'm going to keep reminding you to straighten your back. And I'm going to tell you every pose because I forget when I'm in front of the camera. It's so easy to start to sink into it and you don't even realize it. So straighten your back, roll those shoulders back, sit up straight. And it's going to feel weird. You're going to feel like this probably looks awkward. It does not. It looks good on camera, which is a funny rule of thumb. Sometimes the more awkward it feels, the better it looks. So now that we are sitting up straight on the front of our chair, knees angled 45 degrees to the side, which kind of brings in a natural angle for your whole body. If you have arms on your chair, I'm going to lean the top half of your body against that arm. I'm going to have you rest kind of the middle of your forearm on one of the arms of the chair. Let your wrists relax. Do not hold them stiff. Don't hold your hands stiff. If you want to shake them out, shake them out. But I want you to take a deep breath in and let it out at this point because it's a lot of thinking, right? Okay, so you're gonna rest that arm on the chair and then you're gonna take the other arm and you're casually gonna throw it over. And you're not gonna cross at the wrists, that's too formal looking. You're not gonna cross at the elbows, that's too squished looking. You're gonna cross about mid forearm over mid forearm, which is normally how we sit anyway. We don't normally sit formally, and we want to introduce that casual element. So lean on that arm, throw that other arm over, take a deep breath, straighten your back, tilt your head even maybe a little bit, take another deep breath, let it out, and start to laugh. Do whatever you can to laugh at yourself because that's where the photo really starts to look good with a natural smile. Now, let's say you don't have an arm, that's okay. I like to then just lean forward again with a super straight back. Still doing a forearm over forearm crossed arm, but this time it's just resting gently at the front of my knees, which is also how we tend to talk to people. Like if you're at a meeting or a conference or something and you're talking to somebody and you guys just plop down in those chairs and we're trying to lean forward and hear, that's usually how we're going to sit and talk to people casually, right? We're not going to be too formal here. This looks too formal. This holding hands tends to look too formal to me. I don't like it. So that nice natural throw one arm over. I like it. So that's a good solution if you don't have arms for your chairs. The other thing that you can do is I really like to pull legs up and do a crisscross with your legs, right? Or tuck under your legs. The thing about this is, again, you don't want to do it straight to camera. You still want to angle a little bit to camera to bring some lines back, bring some angles back, right? And you're going to extra want to straighten that back. Now, if you have a chair where the cushion is just you're sinking in too much to the cushion because your waistline should still be visible in the photo. That's a good rule of thumb. If your knees are coming up above your waistline in the frame, you're going to want to come out of that. So I have my clients sit on a book. I have them sit on a pillow, whatever brings them up and brings their hips even with their knees, so they're not sinking down and you can see their waist in the photo. I'm going to make sure that happens. All right, that is like my crash course on how to sit in a pose, right? And so then you can have fun with it from here. Like if you keep these elements universal, always keep your back straight, always play to an angle from the camera and create lines, create triangles with your body. You can lean an arm this way, or you can bring your arm up and lean the other way in the arm of a chair and lean into it a little bit and create another angle that way. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, go to my website, take a peek. Or go to the show notes, download my free posing guide. It's a blast. It's a blast. It'll take you with even like little drawings of what I'm talking about. So I hope this was a good time. I hope this helped shake out your fear about posing a little bit. I hope we got you some good information. But as always, you can write me and say, I want more clarity on this. I want you to talk more about this. And you got it, babe. All right. Thanks for being here.